Are you struggling with client communication and looking for ways to make your clients feel truly valued? Join me on this episode as we dive into how using data effectively, along with clear communication strategies, can transform your clients' relationships. I'm Devin Herz. Welcome to the DMC Marketing Nugget.
Now welcome your host with the Daily Nugget Dose, Devin Herz.
I'm jazzed up today. I got a very special guest. We got Michael Liddicoat from A Liddle Something. Michael is a former elementary school teacher. He's discovered a passion for scaling businesses, and he's here to share a wealth of knowledge. Welcome to the DMC Nugget, Michael. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Devin. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started right away. I know attention to detail here and getting into concise nuggets is what we're all about. So, Michael, you have transitioned from being an elementary school teacher to scaling businesses, which is pretty unique. Can you go ahead and just share a little bit of what inspired this career shift and how your background and education has influenced your approach to your business?
Sure. I wish that I could say that I was inspired to go and do this, but in reality, it was because the state of Washington said, "Hey, we don't have enough money to pay all of you, so you've got to go find a different career." So I tell people that I had entrepreneurism thrust on me. I didn't go looking for it. I thought at age 16, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to have my Mr. Holland's Opus moment, like 25-year career teacher. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to marry another teacher, retire. My legacy will be, all of the kids that have gone to college or had careers or other sorts of stuff. I'll be the cool teacher they all had." Like, that's what I thought it was going to be. 3 years in, the state of Washington says, "Hey, remember all this money we did to like increase, the number of teachers we had? We're not doing that again." So I was one of several cohorts of teachers that were told, you need to either go relocate and find another either school district or state or somewhere to go do something, or you can, switch careers. And I was seriously thinking about moving. And actually, my mom approached me and said, "Hey, I'm doing this kind of coaching, job skills, life skills thing for the state, and we're doing this sort of stuff. I don't know if you'd like to come do it with me." And I said, "Absolutely not. Not interested. Family businesses. I've seen how they go. Don't want to go do that." So a year later, I'm a full-time job in this role. I'm leading 7 people across the state of Washington that are doing life skills and job skills stuff, and we're having really good turnaround, really good success, and we're doing really, really well. And then from that, the state of Washington again intervened and said, "Hey, it's the 2008 recession. Like, we're going to start pulling back contract dollars." And so then again, I had to go start looking for the next thing. And that has led me down this very very odd collection of things that I've done in the past. I've been an executive director. I've been sales. I've done project management. I've been the number 2 employee at a SaaS startup that, I was the only non-engineer that was involved there. And I've been just in a lot of different roles. And what has always shown up for me and what I've always gravitated to is looking at what is the friction inside of the business or inside of the product, the client success journey, whatever it is, and then breaking that down to, okay, what can we do to fix that, and what would that look like? And I usually work with CEOs or founders or owners that are really focused on one of two things. Either, I've got this business and I don't have enough time, or I've got this business and I don't have enough money. And then I go, great, let's start from there and let's break what that is. On the time side, it's really breaking it down of, well, what are you doing in your business that you think nobody else can handle, that is unique to you, that is whatever. And then on the, pay side, it's, okay, well, where is all the cash going? Talked with somebody today that he was like, man, I had a multi-million-dollar business and I was barely taking home, $60,000 a month. And it just was not making any sense to him on why it was doing it. And so that's what has shown up for me and where I've gone to since then. To your question about how does teaching play in that, I think that I got to ask once, like, how do I find more great operations people? Like, where should I look for them? And I always tell people, go find a teacher, because they have to work on time schedules. They have to take very complex ideas and be able to explain them very simply so that someone can learn them and comprehend them and remember it later. they have to work with a variety of people and make them all work cohesively together to get the results. And man, those people know how to study and learn something brand new that they've never been exposed to before, and then immediately apply it to whatever it is that
Okay.
they've got going on. So that I think is kind of like my superpower, is being able to say like, oh, okay, I programmed my brain to go be able to, give people information, and now my audience has just changed from it being students to being business owners and teams.
All right, so delegation, I would say it is something that I know I've struggled with. We've done very well through the years to start being able to delegate, but I find myself falling into old habits. Even yesterday, I had one of my clients who's a friend of mine hit me up saying, hey, we need some stuff for a trade show. It probably could have waited a week or put on our design schedule, but guess what? I jumped right back on my Adobe Photoshop, started designing stuff. Oh, it's only going to take me 20 minutes, but that's 20 minutes that I can't get back, that I can't allocate to something else. So, is there any recommendations that you have to prevent some of that going backwards and keeping the delegation moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally have two pieces of advice for you. The very first advice I want to give you is that it is a big mental mind shift to go through delegation, because you are doing things for yourself that are moving profitability in the business forward, and it's very difficult to have that mind shift set and say, well, I'm gonna hand this to somebody else and I'm gonna see it get done. So what I always start with founders that are trying to do that is I say, hey, here's the first step in doing that delegation is go ahead and do it yourself. And whoever you're going to delegate it to, you're going to let them take it on the next time. Say, hey, you asked me to help with this, or the client's asking me with this. Here's what we're going to do, and explain it to them. Tell them, like, have them stand over your shoulder, whatever. But say, here's the caveat to this. When I'm done, what I need you to do is either through email, Slack, whatever is your internal communication
Mm-hmm.
system, I need you to send this to me so I can see if like I did a good job of explaining everything that was there, and that you had a clear understanding of how to do it, what to do it, all that sort of stuff. The value to that is that you're going to do the thing anyway. And then you're going to get this email, this communication later in the day, and you're going to read it and you're going to go like, that's about half there. Like I can see where I missed some things. And so if I missed that, all right, that's not clear. And I need to respond to that message. Say, yeah, you're missing a couple of these things. The next time I do this, can you also either feed this back to me, or do you think you have enough clarity now that you could get it to the point where I could look over it for you before it goes out?
Sure.
And that's just like that, getting out of first into second, right? Like I'm just making a little bit of an incremental increase in where I'm going and what I want to do in order to be able to take that off my plate and get that over to somebody else. The initial reaction to want to do that for the client and make that happen, the only thing I can give as advice on that is that going through my sales training that I did way back in the day, we were always encouraged that people want to do business with people they know, they like, and they respect. And if you start setting your clients up to expect that you have instant availability, that you will always jump when they say jump, then guess what? Every client is going to expect stuff from you the day that they send it to you, because you've set that expectation. So what we always did in our sales calendar was we said, I can't get to that for 2 days. I am absolutely booked out. Like if you make this request today, it's going to be 2 days before I actually get to it and be able to talk to you and that sort of stuff. The intent there was to make sure that our calendars were always booked, because we were always putting things on our calendars 2 days from now. So in 2 days,
Nice.
Michael today is working to make sure Michael 2 days from now is busy and has what he needs to do to get stuff done. But the other side of that, the unintended consequence of it, is that they go, man, Devin is really busy. Like Devin can't get to this for 2 days. Well, I better make sure that he's got all the stuff, because if he calls me and says I didn't get him everything he needs, then it's going to be another 2 days before he potentially gets it and picks it again. So I need to make sure that you're doing that. So rather than think of it as a delegation thing of like, oh, I've got to get this to this person, think of it as like a self-preservation tactic to make sure that you have the capacity to get all the work done, and you can let clients know that. Now, of course, there's always going to be situations like Sally calls me up and says, Michael, like the thing that came in, it's on fire, it's doing this, that like it's not going to get it. It's like, okay, Sally, that's totally fine, totally understand what that's going to look like. Now I'm doing an all hands, I'm getting people together, I'm doing this sort of stuff, and I'm going to then do something that I love to do, which is called a good, the bad, the ugly review. So whenever I have anything that's an undesirable outcome inside of the company, I say, let's sit down. We're going to have a good, the bad, the ugly. It takes 45, 50 minutes tops. I get everybody that's involved in the process. And I said, whether that was sales, whether it was ops, whether it was marketing, whoever, we all sit in a room together and we say, here was what happened. This was the timeline. That's the very first thing we establish is, who are we talking about? What are all the things happened? And everybody goes around the room and says, here's what happened, here's what happened, here's what happened. And it's just facts, right? They're just factually saying, here's all the things that happened and what went on. The next thing we do is we say, great, what went good? And everybody in the room shares out, like, here's the good things that happened, here's the things we did right. And I say, great, what went bad? What are all the things that had non-desirable outcomes? What are the things that caused the fire to happen? Do we own any of those things or those client things? And then we have the ugly. And the ugly is where we need to take our egos out of it. And we need to say, knowing what we know today, we would have done these things differently because we messed up. We made mistakes. We had these errors happen. They're self-forced errors that we could do. Then we break that down and say, so what is the systems, the policies, the procedures we need to change so that this never happens again? Then we create a document and we share it out with the entire company. And now everybody in the company is allowed to wave the flag and say, guys, this feels like a Sally scenario. Like, it feels like we're going down the exact same road we did with Sally. We were told we never want to go down that road again. And now you have delegated successfully, because of the forced error and the tight timeline and the things that were going on with the client, to the rest of the team and empowered them to say, this is a situation I was specifically told not to let happen. I see it happening, and I've been authorized to stop work from everybody in the company to make sure we do not force this error on ourselves again. What are the things we said we were going to do if this happens? Oh, I'm allowed to offer a price incentive. I'm not allowed to tell Sally that we're doing that. Or if I'm allowed Sally to do that, we have to charge that. And now we have to go tell our other clients, hey, you're getting pushed today because of X, Y, and Z. But by pushing that accountability down to everybody to say, guys, we as a company had this thing happen. None of us wanted it to happen. So the next time it feels like we're going to get there, we're going to stop it before it does happen. And everybody in the company, from the people working the phones to me up in, my lofty, middle of the room seat, because again, nobody has penthouse suites anymore. But, we all have the ability to go in and make a timeout, call stop, and pivot to get the right result for the client that also happens to be the right result for us as a company.
Yeah, that's a fantastic nugget right there. I think that alone, and taking the time to look at it as a team and uncover the fact that, hey, there's something that's messed up here. There's something that's wrong. We need to prevent this in the future. I think is an amazing thing to do. And I also feel that, something that we're getting more and more involved in is actually recording our processes. And I know you may have alluded to that too, is sometimes very hard to teach someone all the details or what or how to design something, how to set something up, a campaign up. But if we record that and show them our ways of doing things, I have found that definitely helps. And with technology, you can easily screen record these days. It's just remembering to do it, because there's so many things that occur that you're not necessarily thinking about, oh, shoot, I got to record this now, and I can use this to train my teams, because we can't expect perfection anytime we delegate, especially the first time, the second time. But we can improve upon that. We can provide them a better detailed description of what we're looking for. We can provide demo videos. So I really love that. And I think coming together as a team to uncover the areas that need improvement is huge. Also right now with go ahead. You want to add something to that? Go ahead, Michael.
What I was going to say was, I have another thing that you can implement too when you're trying to figure out how to get those processes passed on. And it's the watch me, make me, and then you do it method. So the first step is like, record it. Like, make people watch what you're doing and saying, great, I did this thing. I want you to watch it. But what you need to do after watching it is you need to make me the checklist or the SOP. Like, you have to write it out of, what do we do when we do this? And this can be the staff. This can be an executive assistant. It can be anybody else that you send it to. And you say, here's the recording. I want us to write down the process procedures. Then the next time you do it, you have to use that list they gave you in order to go through and do the work. And you're going to go, we're missing a step here. All right, we're going to change this. I actually want you to do this, make this happen, do this sort of thing. And you then update the list. And then the next time, this is now a list that has been made from watching you do it. It's a list that you've personally gone through and made the edits to. And now you're going to hand it to somebody else and say, I've gone through this twice now. I'm going to watch you do it now. And then you're going to send it to me to make sure that it got done right. And if they do it right, you now know you have a lock solid SOP that can be replicated to your standard, and they can take it from there. And now that is what winds up on the SOP list, in the vault, in the documentation. But what I see a lot of people do is that they just make the Loom recording of them doing it. But now it's very unclear, because I know as I do it, like I may speak out loud, but I'm also clicking it really fast and just going in my normal work habit. And so the next person is like, well, wait, stop. Like, I didn't even see what he clicked on. Was that a right click? Was that left? Like, how did he get that to show up?
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's so true. I mean, because we have so many years of experience, we may be able to get a project done half the time that we're sending it out to someone else to do. But again, that's time that's well spent of training up front, and being able to track and measure their progress, I think is huge. And now moving on to communication, we have so many forms of communication: text messaging, social media, chat. You're saying that over communication with clients is a key part of your strategy. So I'd love to hear more about that and what you recommend for maintaining that clear and consistent communication with your clients.
Sure. So way back in college, I learned that communication is all about whatever the channel is, whatever the message is, and who the receiver is. And so I try to make sure that when we communicate with clients, that we are trying to use as many channels as possible to communicate the same message so that it is received. So it's not about like inundating them. It's just that I know that clients, sometimes I have a client that only reads his text messages. He will never open an email that I send him. So I've got to try and communicate as much via that channel so that he gets it. We have other clients that all they want to do is get on the phone and talk to you about it, and they want to hear it, and they want to do all that sort of stuff. So my challenge whenever we have a new process for how we want to communicate is that I always want to try and say, great, is there a way here where we're making somebody read something? Is there a way where we're making somebody listen to what we're saying? Is there a way where we're making somebody watch what we're saying? And most importantly for me, are we getting a feedback loop in place where they can't just say, got it? Like, there has to be acknowledgement, or we have to engage their brain in some way in the communication to make sure that they're actually listening to what we have to say, and that they're okay with the next steps for moving forward. So I have two things that I've been implementing a lot lately. And that is that happen in every company, right? We all onboard our clients. So we take them through an onboarding process to make sure that they have it. And then there is always a change order process. The client will always request, hey, I want you guys to do this different, or make this change. Or I know, Devin, you're the best marketing guy in the world, but I really want this picture instead of the one you picked, that sort of thing. Like, they always have advice for you as the expert on how to do your job better. So 100%. In both of those cases, what we've implemented is we've implemented sign-off sheets. And in both of those cases, they are mostly automatically generated so that it shows up for the client. But we make sure that they come in and are verbally explained to the client. They have a chance to read it. And then we require a signature so that we can move forward. On the onboarding process, we want to make sure that they get whatever our key takeaways are. Here is what we are expecting of you. Here is what we are expecting of ourselves. And here is how you are to communicate with us forward, or to pull the plug and say, this isn't a good fit. We'd like to end the relationship. Like, whatever those key factors are that we want to make sure is part of the onboarding. And then we have above that, like, I have agreed to the following items. I make sure that this is fully understood, and I will not, deviate from what is in here. Here's my electronic signature. The people reading that will then look at they'll mostly gloss over it, but then they'll see, like, well, here's our refund policy. And they'll go like, whoa, wait a minute. You mean I don't get a refund if X, Y, and Z happen? We're like, yeah, thank you for listening. Let's talk more about that. So to make sure that you totally understand how that works and what's happening. Because it's amazing to me how many people go through an onboarding, and because you're the fourth meeting of the day that they've had, like, some things just get tuned out. And so by forcing them to read a document on the call with me and then sign, like, it gives the ability for them to recheck in and for them to make sure they understand on what it is that we're asking them to do. Same thing with change orders. And in change orders, we get super explicit. I am asking for the following thing to be done, and I recognize that this is a deviation from what DMC Marketing is telling me to do as a best practice. I will own the results of making this change, as this is not the advice of DMC Marketing.
Yeah.
And then they go, whoa, wait, what do you mean is the result? Well, if it crashes, if it tanks, if it doesn't do very well, that is your choice. that you made to go down this road. That is not our advice to do that for
Sure.
you. So if
Yeah.
this campaign we have a standardized process, Michael. This is what we do. And we get standardized results for our clients by doing standardized things. You're asking us to deviate from what we know is our secret sauce and the things we do really well. And as a result of that, we cannot guarantee you an outcome or a result of what we're doing in line with what we would normally do. Michael, you may have hit the jackpot. This may take us above and beyond our goals of what we're looking for, and that is great. But you know what might happen? We might get less than standard results, and then you're going to say that we really didn't do a good job. And this is my opportunity to check with you and make sure you remember that you made this choice.
Exactly.
Now, do you want to sign and continue with the change order, or would you like us to continue working the way that we wanted to work? You don't care what the result is. What you care is, did they actually stop and listen and have a conversation with you about what that is? And I know for some of the entrepreneurs out there, like those two documents, also super helpful when you get chargebacks, or if a client wants to fight you on what's delivered. It's like, hey man, like here's their signature saying that they understood what our refund policy was, or they said they wanted to do this, and they're claiming that because we did this, they want to end the relationship, but they're the ones that signed saying they wanted the change.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm going to take this episode right away and pass this over to our awesome team, Holly and Crystal, who handle clients directly and a lot of proofing and back and forth on the strategies. But it's so true that people, I mean, I don't mind giving a little bit and collaborating, right? Because they know their business better than we do, per se. But these are strategies that we're recommending. And there's so many times that I've seen where we veered off, or, oh, direct mail is not going to work. This isn't going to work. Well, okay, that's on you. But what we don't have is that sign off sheet. So again, teacher teach, man, you're giving us some good stuff here, and just those little things that can be implemented. Because I would never think of that to necessarily in the middle of our relationship, or a relationship that we've had for some of our clients 7, 8, 10 years, to go in and hit them up with some kind of change order sheet. But at the same time, that takes you off the hook and shows, hey, this is on you. If you have a crappy event, a crappy turnout to a webinar, it's because you didn't follow our strategies that we laid out clearly for you.
Well, and it also gives you the ability to hold your team accountable too. Like that's the other way to position it with them, is to say, like, we want to make sure we get this crystal clear because we don't do this. So you're asking for this change. If we document this, we are also agreeing that we are going to follow these procedures that you have given us, or this content or this whatever piece is how we're going to go about implementing it. So it's your way to hold us accountable to make sure we did what you wanted us to do. Because again, this is not what we normally do. And when it's not normal, we have to document it. We have to make sure that we do it, because we hold ourselves to such a high standard. We will not let ourselves make a mistake on your behalf. So if this is what you want, we want to document it, make sure we have it. At the same time, this is not our normal process. So we can't guarantee that this is going to get the normal result we would be able to tell you at the beginning of this engagement.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And I feel that your time, energy, the time it takes to do things, implement stuff, automation, super important. So I know that you always are recommending a clear drip sequence, whether it be after the sale or during the client setup process. Go ahead and elaborate on how these sequences can really help in preventing client dissatisfaction and really ensure a smooth onboarding process, and something that you can, I'm assuming, rinse and repeat as well.
Right. For most entrepreneurs, when they are offering their service to their clients, that purchase that client is making is usually a significant investment. It's a very small percentage of clients that would never even think about, like, oh yeah, whatever, that's 20 grand, I'm not even worried about it. Like whatever the amount is that you are charging them is, a dollar amount they're expecting a return on. And the normal experience when I go and survey owners is like, well, what's the time between the sale closing and then services starting, or the onboarding or whatever? And it can be anywhere from 48 hours to a week and a half. Like it really depends on where the business is. But when I ask them, great, so what's the client hearing, seeing, experiencing between the sale and the onboard? And the answer is, well, what do you mean? And it's like, well, that's not a good answer, because they've just given you a chunk of money that feels important to them, and they're looking to make sure that money was well spent. And so I encourage people to document their client journey of what it goes through, how long everything takes. And wherever there is a gap in face to face services, saying, great, we're going to turn that into a drip sequence. We're going to turn that into an automation that we are going to send out to the client so that they have the information they need to know what is about to happen next. And so in the onboarding process, that is, hey, thank you so much. We're very excited about this. On the call, you talk to these people, and we are anticipating getting you started on this date, which is when your onboarding is. And we're so thankful. The next day can be a real simple either text or email that is, here's a picture of the team that's excited to have you as part of the journey and part of what we're doing.
Okay.
Thanks again for trusting us with your business. And then if it's another day later, then the next step is, also just we are so excited for the opportunity to meet with you tomorrow and get you onboarded and get you started on this journey. Like those little things, 90% of businesses do not do.
Not doing,
And
yeah.
then the client is like, well, I just gave these guys $8,000 and now it's 3 days later. We're just now getting on a call. And what do I got to show for it? There's that disconnect between I'm spending money and now I'm starting to receive services. And then for a lot of our clients, it is this delayed gratification effect of we're starting, especially for the clients we have that, it's media buying, right? Or it's a media experience where we have a delayed deliverable on what they're going to get. Being able to have triggers inside of the business that are saying, hey, if we've moved it to this stage in the pipeline, let's notify the client that says, hey, guess what? We're done with design. Design is locked. We're reviewing it internally to make sure that this meets the standards of what's going on. If you have questions about that, feel free to ring your account manager and and see, but we plan on presenting it to you on this date or this time, whatever is the next appointment that's booked or what's going. For some clients, it's even, they've told me, well, from the time we have onboarding, it's 21 days later before the client actually starts to see the fruit of the labor, the services that they're going to be getting and that they're going to be receiving. It's like, great, you just told me that you need a 21-day drip sequence. And at the very least, every other day, they should be getting some communication that is, hey, remember what we told you when this is going to happen? It's going to be happening on this date. But while you're waiting, here's something we want to make sure that is a best practice that you're aware of and that you know. And having that standardized so that the client, because we all know what our client journey is, and that's the reason to map it out, is that we know our clients that succeed, once they're handed the thing, do X. Okay, so my drip sequence is all about making sure you know how to do X once we get this to here, whether that is technology integrations to make sure your sales team has all the information flowing in, whether that is attitude and technical capabilities, whether that is simply knowing what they need to do once they receive the product and who to send it to and where to go. Like any of those things are very valid things. And I have never gotten mad at a company that has told me, hey, you're going to be getting this great service from us, and we want to make sure you're ready to hit the ground running as soon as we deliver it to it. I've always 100% gotten mad when the company does not communicate with me, and then they miss a deadline, and now I'm wondering where my money was being spent on.
Yep. And that first month is so freaking crucial too, because you want to impress them. So if you lose that communication part of it and being able to have those touches and truly inform them on what they're going to experience. And I've also, from the years of getting feedback from clients, well, what am I paying for? Well, you're paying for all, it has to be so clear and so mapped out cleanly. And it's not hard to do, but just to show them the steps of, hey, it's going to take us at least 15 to 20 days to come up with an idea for your brand, your tagline and all that. But in the meantime, maybe here's some good information and strategies that you can start thinking about, and just kind of teeing them up for some of the other things I think are great.
Or start laying the groundwork for why you're awesome. Like start feeding them those client success videos, feed them those testimonials of just like, hey man, I know you feel like this is a long process. We're 10 days in. We still got another 5 more before our first meeting to show you what you've got. But here's Sally over at, ABC Services. And she's got a 2-minute video talking about how she was thrilled with what we delivered to them. I hope that this gives you the confidence to, stick it out for the next 5 days, because we're very excited to give you the same results we gave Sally.
Yeah, that's huge. And I would say there's so many businesses that we talk to that don't even have a CRM. They don't have any automation. For those of you listening out there that want to set up some of the automation, hit me up. That is something that we help out on the foundational level to make sure some of these things are set up for you. The automation, being able to tag clients so they can go through the opportunity and pipeline stages, get these different messages that Michael's speaking of, because it takes a lot of the stress and pressure off of you when you have that. You know stuff is going on without you having to deal with it. It's just awesome.
And remember, you have to do it once, and then you get
Yeah.
to use it with every client from
Yeah.
that point forward. And
Yeah.
just that one investment in your business to try and calm the client down, to reduce friction, to give them the visibility on what's happening, it pays dividends if you're able to implement it and get it out there.
Okay. Love it. Well, yeah, I mean, implementation is always tough, so that's why they make people like us and you, Michael. So this was truly awesome. I think I'm glad that you're no longer a teacher in school, because I think there's a lot of businesses out there can really benefit from you and your services and how you approach things. And these may be things that people already are aware of, but they forget about it. They're stuck in the monotony of their daily grind. So I think go back to your business, really look at it, take in what Michael has taught us today, and see how you can implement that within your business. Michael, awesome stuff. Is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I just want to let people know that if they would like to get a hold of me personally, they have questions about some of the stuff that we've talked about today, they can use my email address. It's michael@aliddlesomething.com. And I also want to promote a group that I partner with, and that's Spyglass Ops. A lot of what they do is trying to figure out where is this disconnect between me as an owner and the business that I have, and looking at through the lens I look through things at, which is an operations lens, and saying, great, if you want to be a $10 million business and you're not quite there yet, what is it that's operationally happening that's preventing you from getting to there? I work with this team and currently doing audits for businesses with them to try and help those founders get out of that place of struggle and get into that place of thriving. So if you're interested in that at all, reach out to them at spyglassops.com. But again, my email is readily available if anybody wants to have a conversation.
Yeah, we'll include that in the description as well. So I think now more than ever, it's time to be open-minded. There's a lot of us that are stuck in our old ways and doing things that we were doing years back. Things are changing so rapidly that if you don't invest the time to step back, look at your business, work on it with your team, be able to be agile, change gears where you need to, then you're probably going to lose out. So take these words of advice and please go implement this in your business. Reach out to Michael if you have any other questions. Awesome to have you here. Pleasure meeting you. Look forward to implementing some of these strategies in our business and continuing our relationship and working together to see how we can continue to catapult what we've got going on along with our clients. So thanks again, Michael.
You're very welcome, Devin. Thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to help you and help your listeners.
You got it, man. Well, that's a wrap of another great DMC Marketing Nugget. Go ahead and hit that like and follow button. Listen on your favorite streaming apps and visit DMC Marketing Nugget to watch all of our past shows. Here's to your success.